first big question for you. Do you think, what do you think the Tom Brady statue should be, and will it be half as handsome as you?
It'll be significantly more handsome because he's significantly more handsome. Also, he's had a little work done, I think, so that helps too. You know,
fair point. Fair point.
Look, I'm just trying to age gracefully. You know, isn't that what they say? Age gracefully.
Mm-hmm.
What should it be?
Yeah.
You know what I'd like it to be? I'd like it to be him yelling at Bill O'Brien on the sidelines. Remember that sequence? Wasn't that involving Taekwon
when
Thornton?
He threw the pick to Taekwon Underwood, and then
yes.
O'Brien is shaking the clipboard at him, and Brady looks up at him and goes, "No effing S!" That was a great argument.
I totally want that. The veins sticking out of his neck, and you know his voice, if you could press a button on the statue, because you know how his voice would get super squeaky when he'd get all animated. You know his voice is super squeaky then too, so it'd be perfect.
Oh my God, that would be great. Hey, I want to on Serious Patriots Matters, I want to get to something you said to our pal Andrew Callahan earlier this week. You said on his pod that you believe Mike Vrabel is the MVP of the Patriots offseason. I agree with you, and I think that it's a good thing. In fact, I believe that to be thus far optimal for the Patriots, given how much work they needed to do roster-wise, culture-wise, attitude-wise. Could you elaborate further?
Yeah, I mean, I just think he's changed everything that we have had to live through and felt over the last 5-6 years. He's changed that with his presence in the building, with the energy that he's brought. You know, obviously the staff that he's brought is a very competent NFL coaching staff that understands what needs to be done, when it needs to be done by. I think you saw no wasted movements at all during the 5 sessions that we were able to see this spring. You talk to people inside the building about how it's gone on those other days. It's that same vibe, leadership, guidance, all the things that you've been lacking really since the tail end of Bill's tenure, when it felt like, he was putting a stamp on it. So, it's a night and day difference for me. And, people are talking about, we make our too early predictions about this, that, and the other thing. And, we've had some crazy win totals that the people have thrown out there. And to me, it's just look, I don't know what the win total is going to be, but I know that they're going to be much better coached, much better situationally prepared for everything. And I don't think that that's been the case for 5-6 years.
I think that's a good early read. Mego over here today in for Andy, Mike. I'm wondering if you saw the report. I saw it from our friend Tommy Curran about Steph Diggs. He has yet to undergo the physical for the Patriots, and whether your read of the situation is that they're using that as some kind of leverage for him to stay healthy throughout the summer, comes with the $12 million signing bonus. What is your read of that situation?
Yeah, Meg, I reported it about a week ago where, it hadn't been done yet and he hasn't been fully cleared. And obviously he's not going to be fully cleared at 7 months removed from ACL surgery, but that they're slow playing this because of exactly that. You have to have a carrot for this player who is, let's face it, he's disappointed them since he's come aboard. And it's disappointment that goes far beyond the viral video that some people don't care about, some people care about, whatever. I think they thought he was going to be here. And I believe they wanted him to be. I mean, of course, they want everyone to be here for the voluntary stuff, but I think they thought he was going to be here, and he wasn't. So how do we monitor what he's doing, how much work he's putting in, not only with the playbook, but with the knee? What do our doctors think? We haven't really seen him, and it was kind of interesting because people were poo-pooing it, and then you talk to some of the players, and they're like, Keishon Boutte, I hadn't been here very much. Well, I mean, when he's been around, it's been good, when he's been around. So I think there's clearly a carrot, dude. You got to keep working. You don't have cachet with us yet. So you got to show us that you deserve it. Because the moment they hand over the first, the payment comes in 3 different payout dates, right? But the moment they hand over the first one, they've committed to the rest of it. So he gets it, and I think it's we're not going to give it to you yet until we know. You're invested.
Yeah, I think it's a great read of the situation, because earlier this week at mandatory minicamp, Mike Vrabel was asked about Steph Diggs' dedication, and he goes into, we want everybody to be here even in the voluntary portions. Do you think that they're playing with fire a little bit by saying maybe he feels like he's ready to have the physical to go, but they're saying, you're saying they're disappointed with him so far. Like, how delicate of a balance does it have to be with this guy? He's really somebody that you need in the offense.
He is, but he has to earn that trust from them, and the trust would have, like, I think it probably would have been done had he been here. You know, they put a clause in his contract, be here for 27 of the 32 dates in the offseason, and you get an extra $200,000, which is, you know, for a guy like Steph Diggs, who's made over $100 million, that's nothing, right? That's not a real carrot, but it was in there, and it was something that they wanted. And he didn't attain that goal. He didn't reach that level. And I think to them, it's like, yeah, we do need him. But he also wasn't their first choice. He wasn't their second choice. He wasn't their third choice. And maybe at the end of it, when they look at where their roster's at and where the build is at, which is to say kind of at the very beginning, okay, well, if he's going to be a jerk, then we won't tolerate it. We're not going to do it. We're not going to sell out our program for a 31, going to be 32 during the season receiver coming off a torn ACL who hasn't shown that he's fully committed to us yet.
Mike, Dan Ball here, in for, I guess, my long-lost twin, Ted Johnson, today. Wanted to continue the conversation on the wide receiver room, and a guy who Andy Hart has complained about time and time again in Efton Chisholm. I know that he's gotten a lot of bluster.
That's so rude.
I know.
The kid's making a nice little camp story out of it, and there's Hart just like, I don't like it.
How nice, Mike, of a camp story is it, or is this kid as legitimate as it seems like others believe?
I'm not ready to call him legitimate yet. I think it's kind of interesting that if you paid attention in the last 2 days, I know Meg was there, he didn't have any real – he definitely didn't have any catches from Drake Maye. I'm not sure he had any from Josh Dobbs. He was very quiet over the last 2 days. And, in fact, because Kendrick Bourne hadn't been there the week prior, was back, he was on the secondary field with the third-string quarterback for a good portion of Monday's practice. And, you know, we were in the bubble on Tuesday, so it's just a mess anyways. But, like, the sort of the production that people were latching onto died down over the final 2 days. I think he has an opportunity. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but I don't think we have a real idea yet. Like, can he get off press coverage? You know, when you're in shorts and T-shirts, I've seen a lot of players look awesome in short and T-shirts. And then when it comes time to translate into camp and you're on the second week and everything is sore and this defensive back knows all my moves and he's kicking the crap out of me and I can't get open. The quarterback's not coming to me. I drop the ball out of frustration. Like, we haven't got there with him yet. I don't have that kind of cachet with him yet where I can say, like, oh yeah, he's going to be able to handle that. I don't think we know. So I think it was a nice little story. He's obviously an incredibly productive college football player at a lower level. We'll see if it translates.
Mike Giardi from Boston Sports Journal and the All 32 podcast joining us here on WEEI Afternoons. Speaking of that, I saw a clip, Mike, from your pod where you were talking about Drake Maye's leadership and the lack of his not being very vocal, not being obviously as loud as previous guys like Mac Jones or Garoppolo, or most especially Tom Brady. And I wonder, like, is that something you think that will evolve? Is it something he's going to do when he needs to, or will he just kind of never be this sort of loud vocal presence as a leader in QB that we've kind of gotten accustomed to around here?
Yeah, it's a great question, Fitzy. And like, when I made the observation, I said, like, I don't know if it means anything. It might mean nothing at all. But it is, to me, having watched 20-something years of this, like, you do get a feel for guys' personalities and if they're that kind of player. And I think we're kind of partial to that kind of player and leader. And I think, you know, Vrabel's talked quite a bit about, like, him sort of having to evolve as a leader. Not everyone's going to like you. You're going to have to be able to take guys to task. And when you looked at last year, he took a backseat to Jacoby Brissett for the entirety of the spring through the summer. You know, he made that late push in the summer where, of course, Mayo said he's been our best guy the last 2 weeks, but then still rolled with Jacoby Brissett. And it was like he never really had to be that. And when he finally got put in, 6 weeks into the season, okay, well, the team sort of established its personality. There's certain guys that are going to lead the huddle. And, yeah, you're the quarterback, so naturally you're going to have some influence there, but he never had to be that guy. And I think Mike is kind of pushing him more in that direction of wanting him to be that. And whether that means, public on-field blow-ups, I don't know if he has that in him, or whether that just means, like, hey, somebody made a nice play for you. Talk a little trash to the defense. Go run down, give him a high five. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was obviously part of Brady's, but Mac did it too. And I mean, Drake's far more talented than Mac was, but it's an interesting little thing that I sort of noted, and I'm just filing away to see if we can see that sort of part of his personality develop.